just to recap this past Saturday's game, want to thank our fans. There was a ton of burnt orange there in NRG. Really neat atmosphere. I think anytime you have a chance to go play in a pro stadium, it juices our guys up a little bit. And proud of our team for responding not just on Saturday, but the way they went about their business in terms of the week of preparation. Very businesslike and very mature. Injury update, the three guys you're probably all going to want to know about, Zach Shackelford, Colin Johnson, and Joseph Osai are all probable. Zach will be fairly limited in practice today. Joseph Osai sprained his shoulder. He'll put a brace on in practice today, and Colin will, or not today, I'm sorry, tomorrow. And Colin will practice tomorrow as well. Questions?
Raise your hand if you have a question. Start up front with Dennis.
Coach, can you just, from a defensive standpoint going into this, it's a total pick your poison kind of game. What do you concentrate on more? Is it just you got to stop everything?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've used the phrase before, it's the scene from Armageddon, right? Scariest environment imaginable. That's all you had to say, scariest environment imaginable. So, they've got the nation's leading rusher. They've got an All-American wide receiver. They've got a quarterback that can not only throw it to that receiver, but is a threat with his running ability too. So it's going to be a challenge for sure, but you can't sell your soul, I guess, to stop one because they're so proficient in the other that you just got to be sound.
In the middle, Ed.
Coach, fourth quarter, defense gave up some points against Rice, but you had the big lift with the kickoff return. Does that put a better taste in your mouth going into this week in practice by ending Rice's game on an up note with a big kickoff return?
No. I mean, a couple things. I mean, score was 38-0. I think we outgained them 467 yards to 112, and they crossed the 50-yard line one time going into the fourth quarter when we put all of our backups in. So, some of those guys that were playing, were on the scout team in the week's preparation. So there wouldn't have been a bad taste in our mouth for sure. But I do want to say I think it's a testament to our players and their culture. The score's 38, whatever it was, 13 minute and change left. And we got starters that are on that team that jog out there, and they're fighting like it's and blocking like it's the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl. That's how intense they were, and you don't see that a lot at many places in the country. That the game is certainly decided. You got to jog a special team in there to take care of business. I mean, we could have easily told Deshaun to fair catch it, or guys could have certainly taken the play off, and I'm just really proud of how hard they played on that play.
Thank you.
Far right, Joe.
You brought in a lot of guys via recruiting for defensive back talent, but one of your starters was a guy who was here when you got here, and Chris Brown. What were your first impressions of Chris when you arrived, and what has he done to solidify his spot as a starter here on this defense?
Playmaker, got great instincts, physical, but had a lot of development to go in terms of he's not going to grow. He's not going to get any taller. So we needed to make sure that he was as strong and as prepared to withstand the physicality of that position. But I think we all knew very early that he had a knack for the football, and wasn't afraid to throw his body around.
Coach, obviously you've known of Mike Gundy, for years. You've coached against him at least twice here. What are some of the attributes of a Mike Gundy coach team, and what do you think he does so well year in and year out for his program to always be so competitive?
Well, he's obviously done a really good job of two things. One is evaluating talent in recruiting, and recognizing some diamonds in the rough, and then he develops the heck out of his guys. And they've had a lot of skilled athletes go on to get drafted. So I think when you think of him, that's what you think of is talent evaluation on the recruiting end, and then development once they get there, and then obviously his offenses speak for themselves.
On your right, Senator.
Tom, you guys faced some great receivers over the years, Hakeem Butler, Hollywood Brown, CeeDee Lamb. This Tylan Wallace is a beast. How does he stack up against those guys talent-wise?
Oh, I never want to get into comparing players. I don't think that's fair to anybody, but I know he's really good, and I know he's preseason All-American for a reason. They don't give those distinctions to guys that are bums. So he's really, really good. He's as complete a receiver as we'll see in terms of his route running ability, separation ability, speed, and then the really cool part is when you watch his game, he's a ferocious blocker too, which for a receiver of his talent is rare to see, and we certainly respect that about him.
Back in the middle, Brian.
Yeah, Tom, from the good problem department, is there a way to, or have you started thinking about how can you get Jake and Devin on the field at the same time?
Why do we need to?
I don't know. I'm asking, would anybody consider that?
Well, sure.
Follow up on Jake Smith then.
Okay.
Just what do you think of how he start? Just like Devin, he's catching everything that's thrown to him. Seems like.
Yeah.
How do you feel he's done?
Great. He was not an early enrollee, so his first taste of college football was training camp, and it certainly hit him like a shovel to the face. But he made it through those dog days of training camp, and just really proud of our staff too for not panicking when all those running backs went down and saying, well, this is a kid that played a lot of running back in high school, because it would have stunted his growth significantly at the slot receiver position. And so we still keep it fairly simple for him. We don't ask him to memorize the entire offense just yet, but really pleased with his toughness and his dependability.
And, actually, along those lines, how would you describe the internal discussion about do you move him to running back or keep him there? Was it?
It was educated discussion. I mean, it was there was. I don't think anybody was standing on the table one way or the other and passionate. Yeah, pounding the table. I mean, we were just talking through best scenarios, and felt like Roshan had the body type. Roshan rushed for I don't know how many yards he did in high school, so he knew the offense, and so even though he had never played that position, the cost benefit was much more slanted to benefit on Roshan's side than Jake's.
And then real quick about the running backs, do you just getting Daniel back, and I assume a full week of practice, do you just feel much more relieved about that position now, even though you would want all 5 of them back, I'm sure?
Yeah, but we do. We've got to have some discussions on then what we do with David Benda moving forward if Danny stays healthy. So to have 2 scholarship running backs and a third converted quarterback playing that position very well allows you to take a deep breath a little bit in terms of the crazy contingency plans that we were all trying to dream up.
Middle, Roger.
Following up on Brian's set of questions, Keaontay Ingram is admittedly, you don't have it now, you're still using it. Keaontay's admittedly tough on himself. Is that a good trait? Is that a unique trait? Do you have to tell him, hey, don't be so hard on yourself sometimes?
Yes, to all of that. It is a good trait. He's very self-critical, and every successful person in life that I know, at least, is very self-aware and self-critical. The challenge with him is obviously not letting two mistakes follow one. Not letting, hey, I missed the hole on this run, so now I'm thinking about it, and I missed the hole on the next run. And so we just talk to him all the time about, you know, you're going to go 0-1 every now and again. The mark of a champion, the mark of an elite player, is not going 0-2. You know, is to bounce back, learn from it, and immediately flush it and move on. And I thought he did that really well, because personally I didn't think he started the Rice game really well. You know, he had a few misreads and impatience, and he was impatient a couple times early, and I was really keeping a close eye on him, and he bounced back and wound up having a really good game for us. So I was really proud of him for that, to not only how he went about the week, but then to how the game started. And then, you know, after those first couple runs, he really bounced back and had one of his better games.
Back, Craig?
Was curious to get your thoughts on the other running back. I saw Chuba Hubbard just named Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. You've seen him before. You dealt with it. Does his style and the way that he runs emulate others that you've seen, even though you've had to deal with him before?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't get into comparing players. I just think his vision is really good. You know, he's I think they list him at 6 foot, 6'1", 207. So he's got some good strength and size to him. The offensive line is playing really well in front of him. But just the thing that stands out is his vision and the ability to be going this way, but see that the hole's there and make an immediate cutback, or be going this way and see that the play is to bounce at him. I mean, his decision making with the ball in his hands is really, really good.
On the far left, Chip.
Tom, can you give us an update on B.J. Foster and DeMarvion Overshawn, and how would you rate your team's pass defense through the non-conference, and where have you seen progress?
Yeah, B.J. and DeMarvion will both be out this week. Our goal for both of them would be the week after the bye week. And then the pass defense, you know, tough measuring stick on Saturday against Rice in terms of the style of offense. But when our ones were in there, I thought did a good job against the pass. And we are what our stats say we are. You know, the La Tech game was not near as concerning to me, simply because they had to throw the ball 54 times, and a lot of those came against our 2s and 3s at the end of the game. But we've got to do a better job against the elite teams like the LSUs of the world. You know, we've got to do better, and I think we have been. You know, every experience is a learning experience. No player is a finished product ever, and they continue to learn. And the good thing is I haven't seen the same mistake over and over again, which is good, and we just need to keep coaching every technique and scenario.
Back middle, Steve.
Coach, give us a little insight, if you will, into the film room yesterday. Looking at the film, I mean, when y'all dominated as well as y'all did, can you still use that film as a teaching tool as compared to something against the LSU where there's been more mistakes made?
Oh, yeah. I think And you don't always have to learn from mistakes. You can learn from things that you did well. You know, the two biggest takeaways for me on both sides of the ball were how well we handled such a multiple defense for the most part, and they got their TFLs, and we kind of knew going in that, you know, as multiple as they are, that might happen once or twice, but we did well on third down, and so all those things. You know, if you're good at something, enhance it. You know, if you're not good at something, figure out a way to fix it. And so was proud of that. And then on defense, just how physical we were, and then how disruptive the front three guys were. They were. I thought Taquan Graham might have had his best game at Texas, and then obviously Keaontay and Malcolm continue to be disruptive.
Your left, Dan.
Tom, how did your number one line grade out against Rice? And secondly, I know you guys didn't have much choice when it came to playing Derek as a true freshman, but how important was that redshirt year to the development of Sam and Junior?
Oh, yeah, I mean, they graded out well. I don't know what the percentage was, but good enough to have 500 yards of offense and 38 points. Yeah, it's, you know, if you ask Kerstetter, I'm sure he would tell you, you know, he wished he would have been able to redshirt. But there's pros and cons. Obviously, he got to be in, you know, it was trial by fire for him, and he was better because of it. But the red shirt for Junior and Sam were kind of both for different reasons. For Sam, it was obviously he needed to put on some weight. And for Junior, it was just a transition from a triple option offense in high school to what we were asking him to do. But he came in pretty physically there, which is why, you know, a year and a half with Coach McKnight and his crew, you know, it was an easy decision to throw him in there as a redshirt freshman.
Middle. Kurt.
Yeah, Tom, y'all had a lot of close games last year. This year you had 2 blowouts and played LSU toe-to-toe. Is the confidence level of this team the best that it's been since you've been here? And you almost go from hoping to win to really, truly expecting to win every week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to expound upon that. I mean, yeah, the confidence level is as high as it's been, and should be, because of how hard and how well these guys have trained. And yeah, I think the first couple years there was, I think we're going to win, and instead of, hey, we put in the work, we've had a great week of preparation, we go out and play our best, we're going to win.
Anything else? Middle, Roger.
Coach, Sam's in some rarefied air through 3 games with his numbers and what he's doing. What do you like most about what you've seen from him through 3 games?
Just his control of the offense. You know, I mean, completion percentages are great and all that stuff, but just knowing where to go, getting us out of bad plays and into better ones, and then being on time with his throws. You know, it's a testament to him, to be honest with you, that, you know, we were, you know, the Sunday after last week's game, you know, we were like, yeah, Sam, you know, it probably wasn't his best game, and you look up, he's got 400 yards of total offense and 5 touchdowns, and you're talking about that being, you know, not his best game. So we have very high expectations of him. He has that of himself, but the thing that stands out the most certainly is just his management of the game.
Last one on your left, Chip.
Tom, how would you say your tight ends are playing? I think Cade has 3 catches through 3 games. And the importance of Joseph Osai to this defense thus far?
Yeah, I think the tight ends are playing great. They've, both Cade and Reese graded out as champions. They're blocking their tails off. They're, getting involved in the throw game when we need them to. But they have been an asset, certainly in the run game. And then, yeah, Joe and Keaonday are kind of the energizer bunnies on that side of the ball. They just go so hard all the time, and Joe is extremely athletic, but and has a great skill set. But the thing that you really notice and the thing that stands out is just how hard he plays.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.